I want to talk about. Next thing I want to kind of talk about. I'm going on off the cuff here, not numbers or anything. But the next thing I want to talk about, of course, is AEW, but mostly what Russo, Vince Russo is talking about. You see, in case you guys don't know, Vince Russo uh, recently came out and he talked about, or came out on his podcast, and not his podcast, well, his podcast and on his Twitter, and basically indicated that WWE and AEW are in bed together. In other words, they're working together to work the fans and make them think there's competition. Now, you could definitely tell that this got the internet blowing up, if you know what I mean. It got people talking because it's like, what? A majority of people that heard this and read this, they're like, seriously, what is this guy smoking? What is this guy thinking? There is no way these two companies are working together. Why would another billionaire want to help another billionaire? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Why would one billionaire want to help another? And like I said, it doesn't make any sense. Um, so here's my thoughts on this. I mean, I understand Vince Russo once worked as a booker, a writer for both WWE, WCW, and even TNA/Impact Wrestling. I understand that. I even know he has his own little promotion in Colorado. But honestly, Russo, to insinuate that AEW and WWE might be working together is crazy. I mean, why would this new company that has a legit billionaire backing them up and supplying them with the finances need help from Vince McMahon, who's another billionaire, if you will, or just got back to being a billionaire not that long ago? Why would he need his help from there? That doesn't make sense. I mean, what's your thought process, huh? What's your thought process? You think, oh, WWE and AEW are working together because AEW will allow the superstars, the men and the women that want to go over there to be free to be what they want, but they'll still get some kind of substance from WWE? No. No. It's like, I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, what? Because Chris Jericho still because Chris Jericho is still somewhat close with Vince McMahon. You think that's the reason? Huh? You think that's the reason? You think that's why, they're working together? Nah, that doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. Does not compute. It doesn't make sense, guys. And look, I understand that some people will agree with Russo because, it's like all of a sudden this company just comes out of nowhere and now all of a sudden a big deal. They were able to book the MGM Grand and stuff like that, and WWE's done that already. I can understand. I can understand maybe there's some conspiracists out there that believe that. And, I don't blame them, for believing that. I don't. But what sense, honestly, what sense does it make, ladies and gentlemen, what sense does it make for one company to help another? Huh? What sense does it make? That's like saying the NFL helped, what was it, the AAL or whatever, the AAF or what are they, the All-American Football League, the AAFL, help them out when that's not true. It's like saying It's like saying the NBA helped the CBA. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We don't know. It's like saying the NFL helped the USFL, or the NFL helped the World League, or the European League, whatever you want to call it. It's like saying the NFL helped the CFL. It doesn't make sense. Why would one company want to help another? It it doesn't make any sense, folks. It doesn't. It does not make sense. Now, some people have come out and said that, Russo only said that to get people to talk about his podcast. And that might be true. Some might say that Russo has a point. That Russo has been in the business, he knows how the inner workings go, and that this is just a work. Really? Then why are there debating reports, various reports, going back and forth about what Sami Zayn had to say on Raw? It was scripted to take a shot at AEW, or it wasn't. If there's various reports of, Vince or Triple H okayed what Sami said or encouraged Sami to take the shot, or they didn't and they're furious. It's like, what sense does that make if you're going to take a shot at a company you're helping? It doesn't make sense. There's no chance that these two are working together. There's no chance at all. Because if there was a chance, Vince Russo, that AEW and WWE were working together, the Revival, Sasha Banks, and a few others will already be gone. And they would have been in AEW by now in time for Double or Nothing. Instead of Awesome Kong being the surprise fourth participant, it would have been Sasha Banks. Instead of the Super Smash Brothers attacking the best friends, the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and Helico and Jack Evans after the match. Instead of being the Super Smash Brothers tag team, it would have been the Revival. The point is, there is no chance that's happening. Now, some might say, well, Brian, nobody really knew. Well, they had an idea, but nobody really knew. And I'm just adjusting my computer here for a second. And I know some people are thinking, well, Brian, nobody knew that WWE was helping ECW, that ECW and Paul Heyman was on the payroll. Nobody knew that. I mean, they might have had a clue just by the partnership and collaboration, by exchanging talent at times, but they didn't really know that. And that might be true. And that is true, I should say. But ECW was not backed by by a rival billionaire. They weren't backed up by them. So there's no evidence whatsoever. There's no way of saying that AEW is backed up by WWE, or that WWE and AEW are working together. There's no way that's happening. Because if they were working together, AEW wouldn't have gotten the MGM Grand. For Double or Nothing, they would have got a smaller venue. For Fyter Fest, they would have gotten a smaller venue. Why? Because why would WWE want to give or help and contribute the leasing of another big, famous, world-famous building and arena to the competition? They wouldn't. They say, okay, we can get you a building for Double or Nothing. Oh, here you go. Here, try that college community center in Windsor, Ontario. Try that. Yeah, that would be a great place. We'll get you that. We'll help you get that. Just saying. They wouldn't even gotten them for for a better I wouldn't say better comparison, but for maybe a little bit better than that, they probably would have said, you know what? You know that Cow Palace in Daly City outside of San Francisco? We can get you that. They would have done that, but they didn't. So there's no way whatsoever whatsoever, ladies and gentlemen, that WWE and AEW are working together, no matter what Russo or any of his supporters or backers say. There's no way. Because, like I said, if that was the case, Revival and Sasha would have been gone and they would have been able to go to AEW. That's not going to happen. That's not the case. Luke Harper would have been gone from AEW, and not AEW, but from WWE, and would have been able to go over there. The point is, guys, I don't know what Russo is thinking. I don't know what his mindset is. But it's stupid to think, even for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, it's stupid to think, even for a moment, that WWE and AEW would be working together. It doesn't make sense. Because you know what? Because here's the thing. There's a lot of men and women, female and male fans out there that are happy AEW's around, that are jumping ship from WWE to AEW, that are jumping the bandwagons from WWE to AEW, from NXT to AEW. There's a lot of people doing that. Deluxe Man, even though he still watches WWE for, WWE, on occasions like Raw and SmackDown and mostly NXT and 205 Live. In NXT UK, even though he still watches them, hoping that Raw and SmackDown gets as good as NXT and NXT UK and even 205 Live, even he's starting to jump ship. He's starting to support AEW more than WWE. And let me explain this. If there's any truth, let's say it's true. Let's say there's some kind of truth behind what Russo is saying. Then those people I just mentioned, like Deluxe Man, and the other, like Deluxe Man, and maybe Chase Oliver, and Kyle Loves Wrestling, and many others that are jumping on the AEW bandwagon, they'd be jumping off. They'd be jumping off because they'd be like, what? Well, wait a minute. So AEW and WWE are working together? They're conspiring together? I don't want nothing to do with AEW because if that's the case, WWE may influence them to the point that they'll become like WWE. Bye! Whee! They jump back. Well, they jump off entirely. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, the point is, there is no chance whatsoever they're working together. It's like if Walmart and Amazon work together. One thing that everybody always asks me at my job, not everybody, but customers on occasions ask me or my fellow associates, what do you sell the Amazon.com cards? What do you sell the Amazon gift cards? I don't see them over here. And we have to tell them, we don't sell Amazon. Because Amazon's our rival. It'd be the same with Target. What do you say? Do you sell any Target cards? We don't sell Target cards. They're our rival. It's the same if somebody went to Target and asked, do you sell Walmart gift cards? No, they don't because we're the rival. We're the competition. So why would why would we want to sell gift cards to our competition, huh? The same thing with WWE and this whole notion that they're working with AEW. Why would they want to? The competition. Why would they want to work with them if AEW is going to be on TNT? The very same network that had WCW Monday Nitro. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And I think anybody listening to this podcast, this live streaming podcast, realizes that. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It does not make sense. I mean, why? Okay, you want to know another reasoning why it doesn't make sense? John Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, went on to Chris Jericho's podcast, Talk is Jericho. And guess what? He, for most of the, well, not most of it, but for, I would say, 75% or 70% of the podcast unloaded on WWE. Now, he did say he was grateful. He was happy to be there. And he basically said he was going to do what he had to do to make sure he didn't have to worry about anything. But he unloaded on a lot of what would happen in the past several months, if not the past year. And that basically, in the middle of last year, is when he decided, when my contract's up, I'm done. And I'm going to leave no matter what the solution or no matter what the future is. So, and everybody's talking about it. The Lex Man's talking about it. You know, I'm sure Solomonster's going to talk about it. Good Mike with Greg Morgan's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. The fact that this guy, who was a top tier guy, even when he left, believe that or not, top tier guy, is unloading on Chris Jericho's podcast. And oh, by the way, Chris Jericho is a top guy, still very close at times with Vince McMahon. And the reason people are talking about this is because this can potentially send waves, if you will, waves across the wrestling industry, if not the sports entertainment industry, and reach the likes of, let's say, the people at USA Network and the people at Fox. Because if the people at USA and Fox hear this, they're going to, no doubt, go to WWE and say, what the heck's going on? And they'll probably be the reason, and they'll probably end up being the ones that say, you know what? We don't want your product unless you get rid of Vince McMahon. Get him out of the picture. And that's probably what's going to happen. That's what a lot of people are hoping. Because to them, Vince McMahon's like this. Oh, that farting joke. That's great. Let's continue that farting gimmick because that makes money. It's all Vince cares about. It's like, oh, well, we can't do that. We're going to leave it like that because it makes money. You know, instead of having the No Chance in Hell theme for Vince, why don't you just give him the $1 Million Man's ha 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 theme? Makes more sense. Anyway. Anyway, like I was saying, it's basically along the lines of how do I put this? It's ridiculous to think that they're working together. Because if you have Moxley, aka Ambrose, laying it in on WWE about, look, I'm grateful of being there and I did what I had to do, lived up to my obligations, da-da-da. But then admitting that even during that time, a lot of the stuff he was fed and others are being fed is crap. Then there's no chance these guys are working together. No chance. Because if there was a chance, Ambrose wouldn't be going over to New Japan to fight Juice Robinson for the United States Championship. There's no chance they're working together, Russo. So what? Whatever you're smoking, my friend, you need to get off it. Now, I know Russo will come out and say, look, it's not that. Now, I think Russo has come out and said, look, it's not that I'm saying they are, but it just seems too evident. Like there's too much evidence to point out otherwise. And look, Russo has a right to his opinion no matter how we feel about him. But to think that WWE and WWE and AEW are working together is ridiculous. Because like I said, if that claim that Russo's putting out there is true, and basically saying that he's only going by what he sees to put two and two together. Then, like I said, there's going to be many people that have jumped onto the AEW bandwagon that's going to jump off because they're going to want nothing to do with that, and you know it. Anyway, with that said, speaking of AEW, everybody wants to know about the whole, like I mentioned just now, in there, the whole Sami Zayn thing. Was it legit? Was it a shoot? Was it unscripted? Was it legit? Was it approved? Was it not approved? We don't know. WWE is trying to tout that the third hour Raw is going to be grittier and all that, rougher around the edges. What? Because it's going to be late at night, or going to be the later portion when that kind of stuff is allowed. Whatever. But a lot of people are debating that. And here's the thing about that. Depending on how you look at it, whether or not Sami gets in trouble or he doesn't, the reason AEW, depending on how you look at it, the reason that went off without a hitch, or that went off. And again, some people are saying that it was not planned, and some are saying that it was, because if it wasn't planned, and people are saying that Sami's match would have been canceled and stuff like that. And sorry, my finger hit the mic there. But some are saying that Sami's match would have been canceled. Somebody else would have came out and wrestled Seth, stuff like that. However you want to look at it. Do I think Sami Zayn might get in trouble? Well, it's like I said at the end of my review, and I even did an expert, and I even did a clip on this. I even uploaded a clip from the end of my review of Double or Nothing, an expert, if you will, as they call it. And I basically said that with Bret Hart and Jon Moxley showing up at Double or Nothing, and people are saying, and people basically indicating that, say bye-bye to your career, Renee. Say bye-bye to your career, Natalia. They're about to be buried 6 to 12 feet under. Bye-bye. If that's the case, they might as well punish all the wrestlers, all the superstars that tweeted about Double or Nothing and gave it a positive review or positive reaction. They might as well do that. To say Sami might get punished for something that he said, and he could justifiably come out and say, isn't the electric chair now, this electric chair segment you're doing, supposed to be unscripted, non-scripted, shoot, if you will? Isn't it supposed to be that? Wasn't that your promoting of it? So, he would have a valued argument there. But the point is, the point is, getting back to what I was saying here. If Sami's going to get punished, then why don't they just punish everybody else? They won't. And you know why? They can't. Because Sami would have a valid argument saying, didn't you promote this as non-scripted? As well as the fact that they could have cut his mic off right there. They could have ended the segment just like that. So depending on how you look at it, the reason Sami said it the way he did and then gave the expression that he did, it's my theory, this is my theory, that I don't think it was Vince McMahon that gave him the okay to mention anything he wanted, but mostly mention AEW. Even if he gave him a script or a promo to practice and then maybe said, oh, by the way, mention AEW and give a shock look like, that. My opinion is I think it was Triple H that took the reins on Sami that night and said, mention AEW. You got my permission. and then give him a shock look. Because when I saw Sami give that look after he mentioned AEW, that look reminded me of a look that Triple H would give in a mocking fashion, like, oh, I'm so shocked I said that. And the reason Sami gave that look, and the reason I believe Triple H more so than Vince McMahon was behind possibly Sami being allowed to do that, because that's how WWE looks at AEW right now. WWE looks at like, ooh, you're such a threat. Ooh, oh, you're saying all these things. Ooh, yeah, ooh, you're a threat. Ooh, oh, you got Jon Moxley. Ooh, oh, you got Shawn Spears. Ooh. To them, they're like, ooh, we're so scared. You're just a bunch of hype. That's how they look at it. They look at it as it's nothing but a bunch of hype, and unless they can prove that they're truly a threat, that they're a better product than WWE, they just look at them as another promotion that's trying to compete. Yes, they might respect the fact that, yes, AEW got the deal on TNT, but did they act that way towards TNA when they were on Spike? No. They never acknowledged TNA on Spike because they didn't look at TNA/Impact as a threat. And they knew sooner or later it would, be, a non-factor. Even when they tried to compete on Monday nights on Spike, what happened? They got obliterated. They got obliterated because WWE basically proved that as crappy as they could be at times, they were still the superior product. And people would rather watch them than Spike. Even if they had Hulk Hogan, they'd rather watch WWE. And why? Because WWE never acknowledged Spike TV. They never acknowledged TNA and /Impact. All they did was just go on about their business. And that's what happened. And the end result was Impact, TNA got obliterated. And that's how WWE right now views AEW. Yeah, they view them as competition, but they don't view them as a threat. Even when they go into TNT, they're not going to view them as a threat. You know why? Because they just look at them as another company that's just nothing but hype. And it's just a group of wrestlers trying to prove, hey, look, we can be main eventers. We can be world champions. That's how they view AEW, whether we want to admit that or we don't. I mean, look, I want AEW to succeed. I want All Elite Wrestling to succeed. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy Double or Nothing. I loved it. I love Double or Nothing, but here's the point. Here's the point, ladies and gentlemen. WWE doesn't look at AEW as a threat. They don't consider them a threat. They just consider them another promotion that's just trying to build up hype for themselves. And in the end, in their eyes, in WWE's eyes, in the end, it's going to ultimately fail. Even if they have a billionaire behind them, they're going to ultimately fail because you got to look at it from maybe, let's say, Triple H's standpoint. Triple H is someone that everybody wants to take over WWE because they feel he could do a better job than Vince. And he's proven that. But here's the thing. Even though he's proven he could do a better job than Vince, Triple H isn't called the Game or the Cerebral Assassin for nothing. It's not just an in-ring moniker. It's not just an in-ring gimmick. It also applies to him backstage. He knows how to play things smart. And he sees the fact that, yes, All Elite Wrestling's got momentum now, but to him, it will be the kind of company that will eventually fall. Because what he looks at is that sooner or later, the truth is going to get revealed that in his mind, that this All Elite company is nothing more than just a promotion to push to the stratosphere Cody Rhodes so that Cody Rhodes can prove to Triple H, see, I'm world champion material. See, I'm the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. You could have made me your champion. That's all it is. That's how he looks at it. That's how, Triple H looks at this whole situation. He doesn't look at it like, oh, they're a threat. We need to pick up our A game. No, he just looks at it as a promotion in his eyes, and there are probably others that share the same sentiments. That's just nothing but hype, and that, yes, it has momentum, and it might build off that momentum and continue it for a bit, or for a while, but that sooner or later things are going to fall. Things, not things, but the holes are going to start exposing themselves, and the truth is finally going to come out that it's nothing more than a vanity project by Cody Rhodes to build himself up as something that he believes he should be, and that's a main eventer, a world champion. Now, I'm not saying Cody doesn't deserve that. Cody has proven he can be a world champion, but not in the WWE's eyes. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm trying to get at? It's not the fact that it's not the fact that basically you know I look at it this way. I don't think Triple H wants All Elite Wrestling to fail, but I think he just looks at the fact that sooner or later the truth is going to come out, and that basically what's going to happen is the Khan family is going to probably release Cody and the Bucks from their positions of power and maybe even from the contracts because they're going to see the truth themselves. That's why WWE doesn't look at AEW as a threat. That's why when Sami said what he did on Monday, I think that was more of Triple H giving him the approval and maybe suggesting he say that because they don't, and giving that adding that expression at the end because they don't look at AEW as a threat. That's why they put on the show that they did. They still don't look at them as a threat. They could say, yeah, they had a good show, but it's no big deal. So that's what I think. Again, my opinion, but that's what I think. But again, I don't think he wants AEW to fail. I think he just probably sees the fact that the truth is going to come out about AEW in his mind, about it being nothing more than a vanity project by Cody to promote himself as something that WWE never saw him as. Anyway, with that said, let's talk about